Hey everyone, welcome back to I guess mechaNorn. It's been like forever, I think, since we did this last. Yeah,
Yeah, it's been a long time.
yeah, it's been last. I mean, last time we were talking about it was like Kuromokuro, which is it's over. I haven't really downloaded it. I kind of caught up to the new stuff, and yeah, and then me and Howie were talking about Macross Delta, but that ended I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it's just a little. Yeah, we'll do something on those eventually. I mean, I think there might be series reviews on those eventually. But yes, I have Irene with me, as you heard her.
Hello.
Yep, and
Long time no hear.
yeah, it's been a while since we heard from you for a while on this. But yeah, so Gundam's back, and Bubuki Buranki's back. So we're gonna talk about those 2 seasons. And so yeah, we're gonna talk about Gundam first, because one episode of that. For those that tune into Gundam or even care, I should say.
Gundam! Woo!
Yeah, I'm happy they got another season. But I mean,
Yes.
way the first season was going, I could kind of tell early on. There's another season. It had to be, not a one-shot
Yeah.
series like G Reco, which I think is longer. But yeah. But anyway, we jump into this episode. I guess if you wanna, lead on this episode 3. If people were following, if they're following along or not.
Okay. Okay. Basically, this episode was sort of like the part two of episode one, where we basically have um, the Dawn Horizon pirates are coming to attack not Galahorn, Tekkadan, but Tekkadan's basically beating them to the punch, and they're gonna confront them first. And so, um, we have Tekkadan is also gets a job like offer from Galahorn last time, specifically McGillis's group, and so we basically have Galahorn and Tekkadan working together, sort of. It's a lot of politics. So we
Right.
have we have McGillis's like area of Galahorn that's working with Tekkadan, which a lot of people actually. I was surprised by that because I was like, well, he never stopped being their ally at the end of season one. He was always like sort of pushing them from the shadows,
Mhm.
and then eventually just came straight out and said, "Hey, let's work together." And then they're like, "Okay." So they've never stopped being allies. So the only difference now is that it's kind of open that they know he's from Galahorn, and that everybody else kind of knows it too.
Yeah, that was
So
pretty funny because we had Oreo kind of was talking to him. He's just like wasn't sure if he should work with the guy or not. He's like, well, I guess since they got a beneficial enemy, they want to get rid of. So I guess it's in both their interests to help each other. But even that
yeah,
seemed kind of fishy. A lot of the characters were saying the same thing because they didn't bring very many ships compared to Tekken and brought like 4 or 5 in the beginning. So it's like, where's your ships? Like, oh, they're coming. And like they really didn't believe him. Like, yeah, right, sure they are. But yeah, it was
well,
funny seeing that team up.
it it was actually kind of funny. It was like we brought like one ship, and they bought
Mhm.
and think taking about like two, and they're like, well, we only have three ships now. It's like we're gonna go against Dot Horizon. They're like, well, we have a reason for that. I honestly believe the reason for that. I mean, it doesn't seem we are introduced to this newer character for the season. It's Tsurugi,
Uh huh.
who's sort of basically McGillis's right hand man, no matter what Space Hitler says.
Mhm.
But basically, I like him. He's pretty down to earth. He doesn't like have any problems with Tekken. He works well with them. We don't know a huge amount about him or anything, but
Mhm.
he seems like a pretty cool guy. And he's like, well, yeah, we were going, and then we found out this new information, so we came ahead first, and we left everybody else behind. They'll come eventually, and it kind of worked out for Tekkenen's favor because it's like, oh well, if there's two of us and only one of him, and then they let us lead, then basically we can get all the credit for taking the pirates down.
Right, and
So,
yeah, he's just like, well, I'm gonna take command in this whole mission. If you're gonna just bring, one ship, then I'm doing this.
and it works out because McGillis has really never been interested in credit or anything like that.
Yeah.
Unless it like works out for him, he's like, "Hey, you take all the credit. I don't care. As long as these characters are gone, it serves my purpose." So, yeah, he doesn't care. Um, and at the same time, he's working sort of against another group. I had to actually go and look up like who's over what section. I
Mhm.
totally forgot who's over what section because it was like we have this new character named Ristal, um, who's a lot of people have deemed him like him and his trio, Julieta, Iok, as like being this team meat because he's totally into meat. And I'm like, really?
Yeah, that's a
But
little weird. Yeah.
he's like, yeah, let's go eat meat. And I'm like, really? That's your quirk?
Well, then you have
But
like the new girl, Julius, who's just she's a character right now, I guess. I don't know what she's doing, but there's a scene of her like she gets this butterfly and eats it, and it's like, oh, I'm like, what's wrong with this character? Is she 12 or something? Like mentally, not really there. But it's like that character's been done in Gundam a few times. The scatterbrain who
yeah,
only lives for
she's
fighting, so you know.
yeah, she's like you said that sort of psycho character who's
Right.
kind of wonky and not really many people would like go around with when she's normal, but then when she's in battle, she's completely into
Opposite.
the battle.
Right. Maybe
Uh,
like Mika in as far as like their side goes, because Mika's kind of like that too, where he's in not when he's not piloting, he's just not really there. He's in his own world. But when he's fighting, he's focused on that, yeah, type of thing. So maybe
yeah,
that it's kind of interesting because they're gonna clash next week. So I was like, they're kind of similar a little bit in certain ways how they act, but we don't really know
yeah,
how. Yeah.
yeah. I like that they have another girl on Galahorn's side because Galahorn is like has like she's like only the second woman we've seen in the entire
Right.
group.
The first one was kind of
But then again,
like a joke more than anything.
yeah, Carta. But yeah. So I had to actually go and look at like who's doing like what role because that was like a big thing between him and McGillis. Is that McGillis kind of wants like to go out and do this stuff in his sector, and he says, "Oh, he's okay with it, but he's really not." Um, and like we find out, okay, so Ristal is like captain or commander, leader over the I want to say it's Ironrood forces,
Hmm.
and they're basically like the big group that I think challenged Tekken in last season, but Kudelia kind of talked them down at the last minute. So they've never actually fought Ironrood before. They were going to, but they stopped.
Right.
Um, so I have a feeling like they're going to become enemies in the future, Rasal and his group, because they really don't know much about Tekken, don't
Right.
really seem to care about them. So they seem to be like set up for villains.
Right. There's
Um,
like the new kids on the team that don't they're just new. They don't we don't really know
yeah,
what's going on, which was weird. I don't like they introduced them before, but yeah, they popped up. I do like how each of these characters, like you said, each of them have their own like designated section they work in. It's kind of interesting.
yeah, it's it's very interesting. Like the Air forces, I think are like over Earth, like not Earth exactly, but around Earth.
Hmm.
Like they protect around Earth, and then there was Carter's forces, which I found out that not Gallia, McGillis took over her section. So she basically was over like the Earth itself.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so which everybody said was a joke because well, if you got past the Ironroot forces to
Right.
get to the Earth forces, it wouldn't make any difference.
Yeah.
Whoever it was extremely strong. So she basically did nothing. And
Right. The last line of
the,
defense was like the weakest, I guess, to them. It's like, yeah, you're just out there on Earth. They managed to make it past
yeah,
from Mars all the way to Earth through all those forces. It is kind of silly. That almost makes you wonder
so
if McGillis planned all that to use her, because I know he used her in season one a little bit here and there to gain certain things. So I was like, did he use her death to get his spot right on Earth because it's closer to where I guess something important on Earth. Obviously, Earth's important for something. But I was like, I don't know. I don't know if he went that far. Maybe it's kind of a
actually,
stretch.
now that you mention it, that's possible. I don't think he got specifically to get that. I think he got
Mhm.
it to get her name and prestige, because supposedly she's like the strongest of the seven families.
Right.
But it's like, I guess if you think about it, her position was the one that had the least to do.
Mhm.
So if he has that position, then he doesn't really have to
Oh
go
yeah,
around and
that's
do
right.
anything. He
And
can kind of just,
yeah, and he composes the his mask self more frequently
yeah.
than he's with the. That makes sense. Yeah. So
So he can
it
like
probably is
go.
some strategy involved in that with him taking that spot, like you said. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think of that till you mentioned that. Uh, yeah. So we basically have this big battle. The more than I think 75% of the episodes a battle, which is really good because we haven't had a battle for like the last two
Yeah.
episodes. Which I did. We kind of did a little bit with Mika in the like episode two, but it was like really short because he broke
Yeah,
Barbados. Like,
that was pretty funny. Like you hadn't had it but like 5 minutes and broke it already. Like wow.
so we have this battle between basically we have the three ships of the two Tekkadan ships and Gatlehorn's one ship, and then they're against Dawn Horizon ships, which actually has 10 ships
Mhm.
that nobody knew they had because they thought, oh, they have three too, so it'll be 3 on 3, it'll be equal. But no, they have 10 ships,
Mhm.
so they're completely outnumbered. But Morgan's like, whatever, and he's gonna take them down anyway because it's really at this point they've kind of entered their space, so everybody's gonna fight anyway, which was kind of I think what he was getting with Marybit, because Marybit's still here and she's still kind of trying to be the wet blanket of the group, I guess. But she's like, well, we could just retreat now, and he's like, yeah, we could, but we'd still lose people. Like they'd still try to shoot us down and kill us, and I'm not gonna like. Well, if people are gonna die anyway, they might as well die to help Tekkadan than to retreat. So I like his I've liked his thought process since the beginning, but I can kind of see Maribit's ideas too. But again, she's been working with him long enough; she should kind of know this by now.
Right. Yeah, was considering that too. I'm like, you kind of know how they operate, but yeah, I get it. Maybe she's got to be the. 'Cause I think no one on that team was like her that's concerned about these things like that. As far as I've seen, like no one else is like her. As far as mentally, she's not a fighter like them. So it's like, yeah, she has to bring in the maybe some of the logic to some of this stuff. Like, uh, this is dangerous. Obviously, our ships versus 10 of them is going to be a lot harder than, and it is a pretty hard fight for a lot of these characters.
Yeah, they all shine though. Like
Hmm.
they all have their moments, which I really like about this series in general. Is that every pilot kind of gets to do something. It's not
Right.
like with Kira, Yamato, and C, where it's only him and he's the only one who shines. But Mika gets to do some really great stuff. There's Akihiro. Akihiro's new
I
Gundam
love that one.
design,
I like that one.
which has the stupidest name.
Y-
I was like, okay, it's now the remake Full City. What the heck does that mean?
Yeah, it's a little weird. And it's like got 4 arms. Like I was thinking the whole arm thing. I was thinking like heavy arms from back on Gundam Wing has just lots of guns. It's just that's all it is. It's like just a big ass turret. That's all that is right now. And it's pretty cool. I mean, even some of the other characters are kind of shocked by it, like the way it looks. I mean, design
Mhm.
wise, name needs a little work. I mean, that is a little concern of mine. But like you have noted here, he basically runs out of ammo and he pulls out these giant pliers. And that to me was just like, oh my god, this is that is that's perfect Tekken weapon right there. If anything.
It's a great weapon, but it's like it's not very practical because I
No.
mean you only get one person at a time with it, maybe two, but like you could always be attacked from either side while you're trying to do that. But it looks cool.
Right.
um,
It's like a blade would probably be a little better. That's the kind of thing I like about this series in general is they don't rely heavily on beam swords anymore. That's the kind of thing that gets thrown out. Like I haven't seen last time I seen a beam saber was like in Reco, and that's been a while. So it's like I like that Tekken uses more like actual weapons. Like obviously you have
yeah.
Mika with his blades or big one sword he's got this season. But yeah, I like how they kind of do that. But the pliers, like you said, yeah, practically it's not great. versus like five guys, but one guy one on one, it's fine. But yeah,
Yeah, I liked the, like you said, the fact that we don't really have as like beam weapons a lot right now. We don't
hmm
have so much spam of the ships just shooting lasers at each other
right.
and going up in poofs of smoke. So it's actually, they have actual bullets, they have actual shots, which actually comes to one area in the episode which they don't really do in a lot of other episodes or series that I've seen, which is like they have these pit stop scenes where
hmm
basically they have to
Oh yeah, yeah.
go, they run out of ammo and they're like, oh crap, we have to reload. It's almost never where you see like the person, like the hero has to reload because he's
hmm
like has unlimited bullets or something, and so
Right.
they're like, oh crap, we ran out of bullets. Oh crap, we ran out of fuel. So they actually do sort of realistically, yeah, we're not gonna have fuel forever. You're not gonna have
hmm
bullets forever. You're gonna get damaged.
Right.
So they go back to the ship, and then some the other people who were back there go back out to take their place, and they kind of do this back and forth thing, which I thought was really cool to see.
Yeah, that's more
Um,
like more realistic, like military take on it. Like military would do the same thing. If there's a war going on, battle that's not going to end anytime soon. And last time I've seen that happen was probably maybe in Double O Gundam when they did run out of power, so they'd run back to the ship. They shot a beam and they got recharged. But yeah, as far as like actually rebuilding and getting reloaded and all that, this is done a little better, than and like you said, switching people out, even going so far as like giving people food because they've been out there for so long. They got to eat something. Like you know, they bring them food and all that. It's pretty funny seeing that.
yeah, so I thought that was good. And the fact that now we can see how much, well, not how much, but sort of how the Tekkadan has grown to a
hmm
degree, because we used to have just basically Akahiro, Shino, and Mika basically go out there, and then the Laughter and Aki Razi would go out there a couple times, but it was usually just them. And now they
hmm
have like whole teams of mechs that go out, and we have like players who used to be like background players who are coming to the forefront. We have like Dante, who used to be in the background for the most part, and Ride, who I was like, oh, I thought he used to be like really small, and he was just he was like not really did anything. He was just like the guy who delivered messages back and forth.
hmm
But no, he now gets to be an MS pilot too, and it's like, as much as I love them being pilots, I just fear for a lot of them because
Yeah.
now that the more you have, the easier it is to kill one off. They're
Right.
like, right, don't die.
Because you have that new character that was introduced in episode 1 and 2 that he has this, like, he just wants to be a mech pilot so badly. He doesn't care what
Ugh.
happens, he just wants to pilot. So you have him too, so it's like, I could see them, one of these guys, unfortunately, probably, getting killed, maybe this other kid gets a chance to step up. It's like, someone has to in order for this new kid, otherwise he wouldn't have mentioned that he has this desire to be a mech pilot, so it's like, something's gonna happen to one of these three, uh, but I don't really like doing that with this show. I mean, I did it last season, and it kind of drove me crazy. So I'm not gonna even worry about it
Yeah,
regardless.
'cause
It's just
everybody
how it
who
is.
had this flags are like, nope, they didn't die.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, like you said, those characters getting their chance to shine was pretty cool, and seeing how the team has grown since first season as far as like their I guess pilot count. I think like you said last season they only had maybe 5 6 pilots in total, maybe 7 or 8, but this season we're getting like a little bit more than that, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, um, yeah, so I liked all of them in the battle. I thought they did really well. Orga and Eugene were great. They're commanders basically. So like Orga used to be just the one commander
Mhm.
on the Isurgi, and then everybody kind of followed his lead. But now Orga's kind of delegating, and he still commands, but it's like, well, I'm commanding on this ship in the back,
Yeah.
and then your front ships who are doing everything. And Eugene has grown a lot because like it used to be really hard for him to do one ship at one
Mhm.
time. Then he took a risk and did two ships,
Right.
and now he's doing three ships. And like, so he's gonna have the entire platoon like connected to him.
Right.
He's
Same
like, I'll
time.
fly them all.
Right. At the same time, just like, can you give this guy some tissues or something? Because I know you're bleeding in your intense battle and all, but could you wipe your nose a little bit? That was a little much, but yeah, I guess they're just doing that whole. He's really into and it's showing you I guess the toll it takes to do it for him. So I guess maybe that's why it's visually thrown in there. But yeah, it's great to see him like he's like you said controlling 3 ships now instead of 2. So it's kind of great to see how far he's come along.
Yeah, yep, so I like Eugene. I like the fact that he's like really become a leader at this point. I don't know if he's at the point where he could like take over for Orga if something ever happened to Orga, but I do like he's grown a huge amount as a leader since like season 1, episode 1.
Right.
Um, let's see, what else do I have to say? Oh, we get sort of a look at the pirates a little bit. The Dawn Horizon pilots with their captain who has a bullseye on his head.
Yeah, like
But
fan target, I guess. I don't know. It's weird.
he's like, come and shoot me. I even put a sign right here.
Right. Yeah. It's funny.
But I don't know how long they're gonna last. Probably not much longer. We have him. We have a couple of twins who are on their side who are like fighting. Which in these new mobile suits they have I think they call them Hugos.
Mhm.
With the sort of the green light bars that they have in the front, which I thought they looked really cool. It's really sad when you like find out most of the people that Tekena is fighting and killing are all human debris, which was a big issue last season and it's probably going to be another big issue this season. So that was kind of sad they brought that up.
Yeah, no, I see your note here that the kid that Mika killed, especially. I'm like, yeah, that was pretty brutal.
He got destroyed. It was like he crushed the front of the cockpit and then killed him after he.
Yeah,
Oh, I was like, oh
yeah, it's
gosh.
pretty bad. But yeah, you're saying that I like the designs of these suits. I love how every time you fight someone new, that all the mech, even the big suits they got are different in design wise. But most series would just copy paste a lot of the designs. Even like I think even Galahorn's got some new machines too, and they look pretty neat too.
They have some newer ones. Well, we have the older ones. Like that was another thing I liked was that Galahorn, at least the McGillis's forces, came out to help them. So they had a bunch of grazers out there from before, and they're like, "Wow, we used to fight against you guys, and now you're like backing us up."
Right. That was a theme throughout the episode. Yeah, they kept saying that like this is weird that just a year ago you guys are shooting at us, now we're fighting back side by side. See, it would be a little weird. Yeah.
You're like, I thought I saw that one before. But yeah, we let's see. I mentioned the pit stop seasons. Oh, well, we at the end we basically have Rustal's forces coming in,
Mhm.
which we find out is kind of at odds with McGillis's forces, and so McGillis's forces were trying to like get the job done before Iron Rod got there, and so now it's like now we have two sides of Galahorn, but one side's our friend and one side's isn't. Which is kind of hard for them. So they have to basically now fight off two sides with Galahorn kind of coming from one side and the pirates coming from the other side. Thankfully, the pirates think that all of Galahorn is on Tekken's side. So they're kind of on like the defensive. So we'll have to see how that works next time. But yeah, I can see. I have this theory in my head right now about what's going to go on with McGillis and his group, because I have a really strong feeling that eventually something's going to happen that's going to cause him to have to break with Galahorn or something.
Right.
I'm not quite more, but I think
Yeah.
that's what's gonna happen because he isn't featured a huge amount in the OP,
Mhm.
the opening,
Right.
and the few scenes he's in, he's kind of on his own with Isurugi, and so I'm like, okay, maybe they're going to have to break apart and then sort of join with Tekken and like
Right.
fully on one side.
Well, that and all those
Especially,
that and all those other leaders kind of don't really like him that much. I mean, he's come off as a jerk to most in the meeting. That a lot of people just don't like him. So I was like, I could see him just switching full time to being his master side and just staying with, like you said, working with Tekken full time from now on.
yeah, because especially when we find out, well, we've seen this masked character guy
Right.
before. Our Char number two, and I'm like,
Right.
oh, well, this is kind of new because most series only have one Char clone.
Mhm.
I don't remember there ever being one that has two. Um, but so this would be sort of the first one. Uh, we find out his name isn't told in the series, but after everybody kind of analyzed the episode and looked at the credits, so we found out his name is Vidar,
Mhm.
um, which is kind of interesting. But
Right.
um, his voice actor is the exact same as Galio's,
Right. I
so
kind of yeah.
yeah, we
Yeah.
kind of know who he is.
I was kind of guessing that too when I thought about it. I'm like, who would be the only character that would want to go against McGillis? Like, well, obviously there's only a few came to mind, but then I was like, well, his friend, obviously, because he killed him, supposedly, you know. So it's like he has a
Yeah.
little bit of a reason, obviously, to go after his friend, and maybe they're not really friends. So obviously, it's like you know what's going on with this story. So it's like it's kind of
Yeah.
interesting, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like, okay. Well, it was a question of like, there's a huge amount of people who don't like McGillis,
Mhm.
but who doesn't like him, but also knows like
His
what he's
secret,
capable
yeah,
of
yeah.
and knows what he does and like how he works. And there's only like about three people who kind of know that and would kind of like have want revenge against him, which would be like his dad,
Mhm.
Galio, or Ein possibly. But it's like, well, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure Ein's dead.
Yeah, that was my first thought with Iron because it's like he did lose like half his body, and maybe that's not so much a mask, but maybe like his face. You know, maybe it's like a robotic body this time. Like he just downgraded to a more of a humanoid form instead of a giant robot. But I was like, then I was thinking, why would he go against? I mean, maybe because he found out he was tricked or used. I don't know. It's like, yeah. So I don't know. Galileo makes more sense to me right now.
Yeah, it basically sealed it once he talked. I had a feeling like once they sort of introduced him in the very beginning and kind of showed you like that he hates McGillis and that he hates Tekkadan, that it's like one is was Galio and two that he probably is going to be the main villain of this series, more so than any of the other characters,
Mhm.
because he basically hates not just McGillis, but he hates Tekkadan, and he wants revenge against both of them. And usually that is going to probably lead to a huge amount of problems later on. Um,
Right. That
and
and
that,
the classic thing of we
yeah.
didn't really see his body, you know,
Hmm.
last season, so it left it open. And obviously they showed us that body augmentation, you know, robotics and stuff like that is a thing in this series. So a lot of characters have prosthetics and stuff like that. Especially Ian, who basically get his all his body and this is just his brain. Like so in in this universe, you can do that type of thing. So if you wanted to, so I guess it's possibly that Galio is probably gonna be half machine, obviously, since maybe like a Darth Vader situation where he has to have this helmet. If you don't, he's gonna die. You know. So, but yeah, it'd be interesting
Yeah,
to see if that really is if he can reveal himself to Gallia or get our McGillis later on.
yeah, I considering like I said how early that they've kind of revealed it because pretty much 98% of people know who he is,
Hmm.
but it's like I'm pretty sure that McGillis probably knows that he's alive. I mean, it would make really weird sense for him not to have figured this out or not to even know that he didn't kill him.
Hmm.
Because McGillis is extremely smart and he's extremely like cunning, so he wouldn't know that he didn't finish off the one guy who might be the whole key to his plans.
Right, that could ruin everything.
Yeah, I just don't see that.
It's almost like if he mentioned, if his sister found out, that would probably be some big problems for McGillis later. If his sister found out her brother is still alive, and who
I'm
tried to
gonna
kill
make
him, you know.
I'm gonna make a prediction. I have a really strong feeling that Galio, in his like revenge mode, is gonna
Hmm.
accidentally kill his own sister.
Probably. I
I
mean,
have
yeah,
that idea
or
because
yeah,
she hangs out with McGillis all the time, and if he tries to come after McGillis and she's with him, or something happens and she knows that he's coming after her, but she doesn't know who it is, and she knows that he's gonna try to kill McGillis, and she tries to save
uh,
McGillis and then dies. I could really see him killing her on even actually on purpose a little bit, like,
right,
but
yeah.
mostly by accident.
I usually see
Um,
like the reverse of McGillis killing her to prove a point to her brother that I'm serious about this, and
mm,
it's like I could even see it going both ways. Both of them could or her do the whole thing where you shouldn't be fighting your friends and get caught in the crossfire. That would be a thing I could see happening easily on in this show because they like shock factor sometimes just for the sake of it.
yeah,
And
because
she is
the
no
other thing is
opening,
she's
so I
so,
mean, yeah.
I mean, 'cause she's so young, and
Mhm.
usually those kind of characters are either meant to be some sort of weakness for the older characters. Because
Mhm.
the thing is, I'm trying to think of something that could make Galio and McGillis fight each other for like the last time, or for like a
Mhm.
final confrontation or something.
Right.
And really, I couldn't think of anything other than that because McGillis actually really cares about his sister.
Mhm.
It's just that because he's sort of one of those guys who he only fights when he has to, and he doesn't really have a reason to fight Galileo anymore. I mean, it's like,
Right.
well, I've already kind of finished you off, so yeah, even if you like yell at me or whatever, or try to shoot me, I really don't have a reason to kill you myself. I could always send somebody else or just leave you to do whatever.
Right.
But for them to actually fight, he has to have some reason to want to fight him, and
Mhm.
I think that could possibly be the reason. So that's my idea, anyway, like
Right.
theory.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they will probably end up using the sister at some point. Again, she's in the opening. There's a scene where he's like kissing her hand, like bowing to her, or whatever. So it's like she is gonna be used at some point later on. It's like, but the thing is like how. That's what I want to know how they're gonna. And like you said, there has to be a reason for these two to fight. It's like even when they fought the
Mm.
first time, it seemed kind of like McGill's only fought him because he was in the way. Like you're gonna ruin my plan, so I gotta get rid of you. Then this time it's like, so what's gonna be the thing that makes him fight, like you're saying? Which I guess they're
Mhm.
obviously gonna get to eventually, but yeah, I'm pretty sure, like you said, it is probably gonna be him. If it's some new character, then it might be interesting, but they also need to kind of explain why, you know, which they probably will. I mean, but yeah, just for now, I don't. We just have to wait, I guess, and hold on.
I'm
How
wondering,
they do.
I'm wondering also like how much of him is machine now, because I'm pretty sure
Mhm.
he's like somewhat machine.
Right.
So I'm like, is he like almost all machine, or is it like some of him machine? Or it would be very interesting to see how much damage he actually has.
Right. Yeah, it'd be interesting to
Uh,
see that, and because I think he's got like a new machine we haven't seen before. So it's like I wonder if that's
mhm.
one of those new experimental robots there, because he was with Iron, and Iron got like a really interesting machine too. So it's like I wouldn't be surprised if he got something similar as far as like a new mobile suit that's no one's seen yet. That's
Hmm.
connected right to his
What's
his brain or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, supposedly the one that he goes to look at is a Gundam, as
Mhm.
far as I've heard. It's a Gundam. Its name right now is the Gundam Vidar, but it's like, well, that's his name, so I'm not sure if that's its permanent name. But um, I'm not sure. Maybe he took his old Gundam that he had and maybe completely dismantled it and tried to redo it in his new image or whatever. But it's possible. Um,
That'd be one way to like shock McGillis if he like just showed up in the same suit that he fought last time. Like,
like
oh hey,
the
what's up?
exact same one,
Same color and everything.
just
Like, oh,
different.
right, exactly. Um,
Oh, and oh, sure.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, other than that, I guess my last point was about Hush.
Hmm.
Hush is the new character from well, he just started in this character. He's the one who's constantly talking about wanting to be in a mobile suit.
Right.
Uh, I want to like him, but he's really showing like signs of being that Shin slash Camille character who always pops up in like the second seasons of
Yep.
Gundam series.
Yep.
And it's like, would you, because all he did this episode, he only had like two scenes this episode, and both of them were whining.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, I want to like him, but I'm I'm afraid he's going to become one of those annoying characters that is like, okay, he's going to try to do something and it's going to backfire and
Yeah.
it's going to cost everyone else everything.
Right. I think I've seen that too. I was like, he's just gonna jump in a suit whether no one's looking and try to pilot, go out there. In the meantime, someone's gonna save him and end up getting killed because of his stupidity. Because he's just like, I don't want to pilot no matter what. So I could see him doing that if he sees a cockpit open. He may try to jump inside when no one's looking and take it himself to go out there and prove his worth and again get someone killed in the process. That would I could see happening with him.
I could see that happening.
Just
I
about
could see
anything.
also,
So.
oh, well, yeah, I said, I could see also like him, uh, like meeting one of the other members or
Mhm.
like one of the enemies, and then they're kind of like, "Oh, we'll give you a suit and we'll give you
What
the
you want,
surgery,
right?
but we need you to do this and basically betray Tekkanen or whatever."
Right.
And
Or become like
he
Ein, where
might
it's
say,
like you want to be you can actually be a mobile suit like Ein, basically give up your body and just that's it. You can be a mech pilot
"Yeah, you can
forever.
go." I was like, because I mean, it wouldn't be as bad if he just wanted to pilot him like a mobile suit.
Mhm.
Because I mean, if that was the case, I could easily see like Shino, because he wants to go pilot a Gundam. He mentioned that this episode. So like I can see a Gundam like falling into their hands, and then Shino takes that one, and then he gets the chance to go into one of the other mobile suits. But it's like it's not just that; it's the fact that he's jealous of Mika and
Right.
that he wants to go against Mika. And I'm like, okay, well at that point, then you're like you're going towards rival
Mhm.
territory and
And there's a
things like
little
that.
yeah, and a little bit of immaturity to him too, because he doesn't
Mm.
realize that it's just not all fun and games out there. There's people fighting, people dying. He's just like that's his motivation right now, just pilot. It's like you kind of almost want to say in it for the wrong reasons. I know you want to fight. But now we're going down and talk about Buranki season 2, episode 2 and 3, and because yeah, it's been pretty interesting so far. I think most people have kind of complimented the series on. I guess CGI has been improved in some scenes. I can see it here and there, but it still feels like the same to me. But it's nice to see. I guess they have got some upgrades here and there.
Yeah, I like the fact that we get more teams now. We're not. They were kind of introduced last, like at the very end of the first season.
Mhm.
But I like that we're sort of getting to see everyone else's like the international Buranki teams. I think we saw America and Russia last season,
Right.
so now we get to see like Taiwan and England, and I can't remember if there was another one, but at least those three.
Right. Yeah. And we jump right into that with episode 2 with a guy kind of meeting all the leaders of the new teams, like you said. And it's kind of like this weird like I was like thinking like Power Rangers for some reason. You got the one guy talking, and all 5 leaders are there of each team, and but obviously we got Karoko, who's kind of not really a leader of a team. She doesn't really have her own. She's kind of just borrowing one right now. And yeah, I think I said last week in my first episode that I like that she's nicer than the other guy for the Taiwan team. I'm like, yeah, he's kind of a creeper. I don't know about him, but a lot of the people on his team don't like him, so it's funny seeing that. Yeah.
hmm
Kareko is kind of be this temporary leader, but yeah, she's kind of still in like the low rank, I guess, compared to everyone else. So all the other leaders actually have their own teams. So I guess she's a little jealous of that. You can see it how she reacts, and yeah. So we get, I guess Russia's on the move. In Taiwan, they're doing their thing. They attack two wild Buranki very easily, take him out with no problem at all. But we also learn a little secret that the leader of Team Russia, his limbs, I guess, are being basically mind controlled or brainwashed just to obey every order he gives. So it's really not. It's kind of. I guess it shows Guy isn't. I think they're setting him up for the villain just by revealing that he has the ability to do this to make people just slaves, mindless slaves. So it's kind of weird that happened. So it's a little,
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
yeah, a little weird and a little creepy. It's like, yeah, I guess he just doesn't. Obviously, since Russia is their team's kind of in the first season was, but they weren't really friends. I guess you could say. So I guess now he's just taking it upon himself to make them his slaves, which is again, I guess, setting Guy up as the villain is what I'm guessing they're doing with that scene.
They're like, oh, yeah, if you won't work with me or do it on your own, then I'll just have to do it for you.
Right, 'cause obviously, like last season, the physical stuff he was doing to people wasn't enough, I guess. So, this is the next option. So it's kind of bad, but yeah, Maxim, the leader of that team, reveals kind of a secret, I guess, that the main thing they're going for in this season is a comet. I guess they want to destroy, and I guess that's the main kind of theme of, I guess, what his real goal is. But no one knows what it is though. If it's another Baranki nest or if it's something else. I think it's another nest of machines, but it could also be something he's after, like a power source or something he wants. So, but yeah, they kind of told you right now the plot is pretty much that right now, I guess. And so we have Russia versus Taiwan. Obviously, Kuriko gets tired of them just stomping around her city, so she just jumps in and fights them. Which I wouldn't really call the fight. It's more like one-sided because Russia, they're more experienced, and they kind of defeat them pretty easily. Didn't really take much time, but also Kariko has a problem of being too, like she gets too full of herself, I guess you'd say. She just thinks she's all that, and not really a great fighter. I would say. At least that's the only impression I'm getting with her lately. Then we have Kariko and Ozma finally meet, which of course isn't really a happy moment like everyone thought it would be. I thought it would be a little bit different, but yeah, Kariko just you can tell they don't get along at all, and she just doesn't like anyone in her family anymore, just because of what happened, in the past. But also I think it's just because she's jealous of her brother, that maybe he's like always the chosen one or something, because he did get the heart from his mom, so I think Kariko's a little jealous about that, because that's what she wants. But yeah. But I think in reality, I think she's using this whole, comedic act of hers to cover something up. Is what we kind of five of the first episode, just how she's acting. So yeah. And then we have Russia versus Taiwan again. They try to fight them again, but then Japan jumps in. The Ozma team kind of beats Russia pretty easily. I guess because he's obviously they have more experience, and I guess their bond is stronger. I guess kind of that whole thing. But yeah. So let's see. And you have Cargo's team after the fight, without their suits, just suddenly start fighting Ozma's team for I don't know what reason. I guess they just don't like them. But it seemed kind of weird that they just started fighting. But I guess there's Cargo and her brother don't get along, so everyone else has got to fight for them. So yeah. And yeah, I have to you wrote it here that Cargo and Ozma's family, they're pretty messed up. I mean, the parents did. I kind of agree. They seemed so caring in the first episode, but now not so much. The dad's kind of off on his own thing, and the mom, no one knows where she's at. So I'm wondering what's going on with that. If he's gonna do something important later, but we'll see. And then, yeah, so we're talking about our brainwashed limbs. That was kind of a weird thing. And yeah, I see your note here on Ozma's team not being. Yeah, I really don't like them either. There's only certain characters in that team that I like. Ozma by himself, I think everyone kind of agrees he's not very interesting at all.
Okay.
Yeah, welcome back.
Sorry.
No problem. I was just talking about I got to the part about Karako and her brother they finally meet, and it's just like they don't really get along because obviously she's got history with them and doesn't care for them. But I think me and you were discussing that last time that obviously I think she's using that hate for him as a cover for something else. I took it more like she's really jealous that he inherited their mom's heart and she didn't get that, so she's kind of jealous of that because they do fight over that later on in the episode that it's just they she wants the heart and is gonna take it by force if she has to. So yeah, there's something going on
Hmm.
that she's not revealing to anyone yet.
Yeah, as far as Karaga and Azuma, I it's kind of weird because I really liked their family dynamic when the series first started, in like episode one. I thought
Yeah.
they were a really close family, which is kind of different from most of anime because usually the families are kind of separated by everything.
Mhm.
But it kind of went all downhill after that because basically their parents are both crappy. Their mom basically stayed up on the island the whole time, and their dad, we find out like this episode, just basically took Azuma with him and said, "Oh, I'm just gonna have him travel around with me," and left the daughter there. And I'm like, "Well, why would you do that? That just instantly pushes like one against the other,"
Mhm.
which we see now, like, because Karako is completely jealous of Azuma. Um, she's like, and I don't even. I honestly think I thought since like episode one that they're actually supposed to share the heart.
Mhm.
Um, because they're like the only set of twins of like children for the Buranki limbs
Right. Yep.
or heart and everything. So I think they were always supposed to share them, but they don't realize that yet. So she hates him because he got to it kind of first, and also the fact that he was with their dad the whole
Mhm.
time, and she kind of just got left there. Um, which I probably bring more up in the next episode, but it's I thought that the father doing that was horrible, and it doesn't help the two like get along. Though like you said, there is definitely there you know that they're siblings. They pretty much just act like normal siblings. Um, Azuma cares about Karako, and he always wants to protect her and everything. And Karako doesn't like it, but she kind of goes along with it and teases him and everything about it. And basically, pretty much they're just a normal family. They just are on opposite sides.
Right, and they have giant robots, that they can
Hmm.
use to beat each other up with. But yeah, Ozma, yeah, he's trying to get to her and just trying to be like, oh, trying to get back with her, and it's just like not really gonna be easy for him or for her because of the separation. They've been gone away for so long, and then like you said, almost like the parents are playing favorites. So it's a little hard to you know feel for the parents in this. Like, yeah, you guys kind of
Yeah.
didn't help the situation either, but yeah, I mean, but yeah, we were thinking that yeah, she's obviously probably cares for him a lot, but just doesn't know how to, she uses this whole, teasing comedic act of her side to cover that all up. But yeah, so those two are just fighting. Their teams are fighting each other, which always makes them fight each other again. So it's this whole thing, and then the Taiwanese team, they kind of get their butts beat by Ozma's team because again, I think because their bond is stronger than any other team, therefore making them the winner all the time. It's that cheesy shonen thing I guess they're doing, friendship, whatever.
Yeah. It's kind of sad because I actually feel more interested in everyone else other than
Yeah,
Ozma's
me too,
team.
me too.
I'm like, well, I kind of it's weird because I actually liked them near the end half or like the middle to end half of the first season when we kind of got to know each of them and what their past was and why they did what they did. But here it's like, well, we now have a bunch of other interesting characters who are like around. Like there's Taiwan, their group, which is kind of cool. Um, and everybody gets beaten up by Ozma's team because he never seems to lose. And I'm like, well, I don't know about that. I would honestly think that a group that's been training that long would
Hmm.
sort of know how to fight them. I'd be more interested to see the Taiwan team fight against them when they actually have their real heart and like are fighting with their actual mech and their real heart.
Right.
So that would be interesting. I hate that guy. the guy who basically seems to control them all.
Yeah.
But that seems to be like we said with the Russian guy and him and guy like taking over all the limbs. That seems to actually be like the rule of the like guy's ideal is that everybody should the limbs should be the servants and the heart is basically the leader because he only talks with the hearts
Yeah.
and the limbs kind of get stuck on the side and so everybody actually is kind of just following him there but only like maybe three of them
Right.
which is like the American guy forgot his name um, and again I think there was the maybe the British girl
Right. Yeah.
basically they're the only ones who are like yeah all of our limbs are basically family too.
Right. Yeah. The British girl seems like it's more like she's like kind of got master servant going on with hers, but we haven't really seen her if she's aggressive towards her servants or if she's treats them nicely. But it seemed like the impression I got treats them nicely, or maybe they respect her. But the other thing was like when I kind of like with Gundam, she may be this character that in the real world she's kind of nice, but when she's fighting, she's a different person. I mean, we kind of saw that when she was fighting a little bit. I mean, she does get into it, but and guy was quick to call her Joan of Arc, and I was like, that's not really a good thing you're going for.
It,
Yeah.
I hated that too. I was like, why are you gonna call her Joan of Arc? First of all, it's completely disrespectful to Joan of Arc.
Like
Like
death
British
flag.
girl, she's Joan of Arc.
Yeah. And a huge death flag too. I mean, it's like obviously she's gonna sacrifice herself at some point maybe, or maybe get killed
I think,
by accident. I don't know. It seems a bit weird that they're setting her up that way.
I think it's because they the Japanese like they don't know any other female historical heroine to compare her to. So it's
Right. Yeah.
like, well, Joan of Arc is the only one we know, so
Yeah. I
she's
mean.
the one
Yeah.
that gets mentioned all the time.
Right. And if all I know, maybe the creators of the series are very into Fate Stay Night, so like, they have Joan of Arc in their series. We want one too. So. But yeah, so I mean, episode two kind of ends with them kind of squaring off, but three picks up, I think, after the end of that, where they're all like, now they're being friends. You got certain characters that are talking to other characters that are like, this is how we do things on our team. We're all friends, whatever, and the bond is strong and all that. So the other girl, like you said, if they had their real heart, they would probably put a better fight. I know one of the girls, I think her name is like, such as the L, but she's on their other girl on the Taiwanese team, and she made the comment that too that if we had our real heart, this would be probably a different fight than what,
Hmm.
than what we're used to now. And Karako, she's not really the greatest leader, I don't think. I think she's in it for the wrong reasons, but obviously, we'll get to that a little later, I think, with her.
Yeah, she's she's a damaged person, but um, the fight I could take it or leave it. The beginning fight because I was
Hmm.
like, well, you just want to show that Azuma's a great guy because and
Right.
it's people are because and they're like, well, we'll school you on what's a real team is like. I'm like,
Right.
okay, wonder. Yeah, but to me, it's like, well, if it was really that easy to break away from the guy's control, like they're like, oh, you need to break away from his control and you need to think for yourself and stuff like. And I'm like, well, if it was that easy, then they would have done it already. It's not easy to get away from a person who's got that much control over you mentally and like psychologically. So
Right.
you can't like say, oh, well, you need to be a better person. She's like, I will be a better person. I'm like, how? You were like
Right.
completely cowered by him once he
Right.
comes on the scene.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can't just say, "Oh, yeah, we're changed
Exactly.
now."
Yeah. She did come off as a, battered girlfriend who was like, I'm scared of this guy. Like when he came by, she was just like he said, tensed up and kind of freaked out a little bit. Even the guys too, they didn't really freak out as much as she did. So it tells you like, he's probably abuses the females a little bit more probably than the guys on his team. But yeah, like you said, they can't just change overnight. It's gonna take a while. If they would have done it by now.
Yeah, because I'm like, at least with the Russian ones, they seem to be sort of used to it.
Right.
The sisters are like they actually did go against him a couple times, but that's just because they admired him more so. And then like the younger guys just did because they always felt indebted to the family.
Mhm.
But here it's like he's completely mentally torturing them to be part of his team, and it's like, well, that's actually worse than the Russian guy.
Right. Yeah. It's like Well, it's like consider now. It's like whether I'd rather be mindless or be abused by the other guy. I don't know. Tough choices. And what team
Yeah.
you would want to join? Russia or Taiwan? It's like I don't know. But yeah, good.
Oh, I was saying, but other than the fight, I think this is actually the best episode so far.
Mhm.
Um, they, in just the fact of not dealing with the rest of Azuma's team, but just with Kogane and Azuma by themselves when they get somehow lost, and
No.
they meet with our old friend Shisaku, and I was like, Shisaku, I actually literally forgot his name. I was
Yeah,
like,
I
what
did
was his
too.
name again? I was like,
I
it's
did
the
too.
Fedora
Yeah,
guy.
I forgot him and I forgot Ryoka. I forgot her. I was like, oh wait, that's right, she's still a thing. But yeah,
I was like,
speaking of those, yeah, speaking of those characters, we get a flashback again. I was just like, okay, we're doing this again. But actually, they're finally revealing the truth about the whole thing. That obviously that the other guy did not kill her dad. It was a random foot soldier that just pulled the trigger, and he just she was just happened to turn the corner and see him standing over her dad with a gun. So she just thought, I guess, being a little kid, didn't really think much at the time. Obviously, the emotions were high, so she didn't really think
Mhm.
twice that, oh, this guy's got a gun, and but dad's dead. Well, he did it, like not thinking that maybe someone else did it, you know. But yeah, someone else did it, and I guess that's the whole thing. But at the same time, like Kogane, I'm like, how are you supposed to, I don't think she was gonna believe him out the bat anyway. It's like, what did he think she was gonna react like, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, she was a little kid. She was only like 4 or 5 years
Right.
old. And the dad basically kind of protected her kind of against everything.
Mhm.
And the thing was, to me, he was like shouting at Shisaku about being overconfident. And Shisaku's basically just coming at him like, why didn't you help us out? We're trying to protect the world. In which we find out like end of last season that
Mhm.
Ryoka wasn't too bad. She's actually just trying to protect everything. Since their Azuma's mom and just went up and left everything. So she's basically was trying to protect everything, and they were trying to get help from Kagane's dad, but not really realizing that he had already lost his powers because he had a kid.
Mhm.
So you basically see why they were fighting, and you see that basically he was kind of bluffing because you find out that once the grunt guy shoots him, and I'm like, well, you just shouted to him about being overconfident, and then you were overconfident by just standing in front of random foot soldiers and not thinking they were going to shoot you.
Yeah.
um,
Yep,
so
that's
yeah,
true.
yeah. I mean, it was a really sad moment that he died, but it seemed like he died really unnecessarily. Like I thought that maybe it would be that he killed himself or they got in a fight and it was an accident. But to see him kind of like die just by a random soldier, I thought that was really sad, and kind of necessary. But basically, Susaku even punches the other guy because he's like, he was basically bluffing and saying that if once you lose your powers with the Bubuki, then basically you can't be hurt by Bubuki weapons either, or something like that.
Right.
Um, which I thought was interesting. I didn't realize that before. So basically, if you have a Bubuki and you're trying to attack another person, they will only get hurt if they actually have Bubuki powers themselves. Um, which I guess explains why he didn't die in season one, because
Mhm.
he got shot by the
Right.
other,
Yeah.
like, his teammate, and I thought he was actually really dying. But no, you find like, no, I guess once he lost his powers, he doesn't get affected by
Right.
the other guy's weapon, so I guess
Right.
that's
Yeah.
how it went.
Yeah. I guess they kind of covered, like you said, they kind of explained that. I forgot about that too, but yeah. But we jump to like the current time. Is what I was thinking, like, because he tells her this story in the current time. She's just like
Mm.
doesn't care. So I'm like, yeah, I would probably react the same way with her if I was her, because like, how did I believe you? Are you saying this to get to me? But I guess she kind of forgives him, but not really. He just wants, I guess, comes to them with a mission that he needs their help to find the get to save Yoko. 'Cause I guess she's being held captive somewhere. And at the same time, Kugani's just like, why would I help you? Help her? the girl that was like beating us first season. But I guess I guess she finally just wants to move on. I guess from that, that's why I took it anyway.
Yeah,
That she just needs to move on.
it was a really good scene between her and him, like her beating up on him and him basically taking it. Um, and you basically find out that he swore to protect her now.
Mhm.
And actually, it's interesting that it was always about protecting her. His thing was basically the first in the first season was to protect her from her Babuki because we actually get to see her little right hand thing when it tries to fight him off, basically sort of draining her of all of her life force, and is basically unknowingly killing her. And so he's trying to protect her from this thing at the same time, um, like stop her from basically being one of the limbs. But he basically decides that he's going to protect her from now on, even though he's now lost all his powers.
Mhm.
Um, which actually I didn't realize until I was thinking about it. Puts his team in a really tough spot because now they only have three limbs. Um, he has, I mean, his son or daughter or whatever it would be a limb now, but it's like, well, it's a baby.
Right. Yeah.
so,
It's too young to pilot or be of any use right
so,
now.
so yeah, they would, even if, because like we see Entai, I think that's to say Entai later on,
Mhm.
but they would never be able to pilot it because they only have three limbs. Which I guess is an issue. Um, they basically talk about the conversation, like you said, between her and him, and how she doesn't. I don't think it was that she doesn't believe him.
Mhm.
She believes the story. It's just that for her, this has been like her whole drive
Right.
for
Exactly.
years,
Mhm.
and she she's never really gotten the chance to grieve after her father,
Right.
which basically you see at the end of this episode that she was basically just trying to be this girl. She wanted to avenge her father. Her grief turned to anger, and it never stopped being anger, and so she never accepted her father's death.
Mhm.
um and so it just, the fact that he didn't kill him doesn't matter to her. He's still to her responsible, which in a way it is true. He was there and he brought the grunts there, so they killed him.
Right. Yeah. He
But
commented that her about it. If he he didn't
yeah,
bring them with him that day, things would have been different. Because like you
hmm
said, him shooting him wouldn't have done anything because he had no powers at the time, so it wouldn't have killed her dad. So I was like,
hmm
yeah. So yeah, things would have been completely different if those other guys weren't there. So yeah.
yeah. So it, I like the fact that she basically was able to fight this out. And I think he knew that she needed to do this, and Azuma knew she needed to do this, and to basically let go. And she realized, like, no matter what you do to him, it's never going to bring your dad back. And that's what she kind of realized after being angry. 'Cause it was like, well, he didn't kill my dad, but so what? I still want to kill him. Oh, well, he's the new father now. Oh, so what? I
Right.
don't get my father, so why does the baby get his father? And she's just mad and she's just angry. And for her to eventually talk to Ozma and break down and everything about that her father is really never coming back. And so she finally kind of accepts, after all these years, that, my dad is dead. And that was her issue, that, she really needed to accept that. And I think that's why she kind of accepts she's talking now. And he's basically sworn to protect her even if she doesn't accept him.
Mhm.
So I'll be looking forward to seeing how that goes later on in the future, how he's basically going to be protecting her, especially with no powers.
Right against all
Um,
these others who have powers. But I mean, you can't die. That's a good thing though. You won't get killed by one of the random Bubuki fighters. So it does
though
seem
I did,
weird.
uh, yeah, I mean, I did think it was kind of a little selfish of him to like, oh, you can kill me and I'll be protecting you. Like, well, you just had a kid. I mean, seriously, what about
Yeah,
him or her?
that is true. I mean, like you can't get killed
No,
by these weapons, but other things can get to you. I'm sure.
Yeah, that was my only sad thing about that. Um, but it kind of goes with the whole series now, where we have this issue with dads. Because basically Azuma talks to Kagane and basically tells her the news that his dad is dead, which we kind of didn't know before. I thought he was alive,
Yeah,
like he said
yeah,
he was on the island,
because he got off the
but no,
island
he's dead.
before. But yeah, yeah. So I'm like, I don't think Karako knows either. So it's gonna be an
Yeah, that.
interesting, a heartbreaking reveal when she reveals that. Because I think Karako, I think might get along more with her dad than her mom. I think that's what they're trying to set up. Because
Well,
Alcima
yeah,
seems
that was
like
so
the
interesting.
mama's boy to me. That he would just run to
Well, yeah, I
her.
mean, it was just so sad because I brought that up in my notes. I was like, ah, you told Kugane that your dad's dead, but when Karako goes and says, oh, dad's on the island, he's fine, and mom, he's probably with mom and everything. She based it at the last episode, and he never corrected her. Why did he never tell his sister that their dad's dead? I mean, that would be kind of important.
Right, yeah, it would be.
Um,
But yeah,
Cause
like you said, a lot of people have dealing with like, you know, parental issues, which is a thing that is usually common in a lot of anime, and a lot of fiction, a lot of stories. But yeah, like you said, yeah, definitely dad issues this season with most of these characters. And for me, I didn't know that you said Guy actually has Ryoko locked away, and yeah, I'm wondering about her mental state as well, because that was the thing last season. It was always her her mental state. She always revert back to a certain point in time, maybe a kid's side or some other point back in her past. So it's like, yeah, I wonder how she is mentally, now.
yeah, yeah, because her brain damage stays even though she
Never ages, right?
is, yeah, even though she never ages. So it's like,
That's
yeah, I mean, because she did a really big, if I remember right, she saved everybody at the end, kind of,
yeah, I think so.
along with Azuma. So it was, she probably sustained a huge amount of damage. Um, And plus the fact that Ryoko that we see now is seems to be kind of blank right now.
Yeah.
The few scenes we see of her. So is she completely wiped now? Is she at a little child stage? We don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she has no recollection of anything that's gone on in their past years or whatever as a Buruki pilot. Because, like you said,
Hmm.
she's the few scenes we see her in, she's kind of like, staring outside the window or looking at the moon, and just doesn't appear to be all there. So it's like, yeah, they're definitely, I'm happy to see her again, but then I'm also kind of sad that if she's not gonna be the same. But I mean, I don't think she ever will be, because like you said, the brain damage part of her is never gonna go away. But yeah, so in that same time, yes, Guy actually has her full machine, her full Baruki, in the basement. So it's like, well, he obviously had plans for her, but things didn't go a certain way with her, her state. So, but then they get to the end of the episode where Karako kind of is finally just sitting there talking to Guy, and he explained just talking to her about wanting power and all this, and gives her Ryoko's old machine, and she's gonna pop it by
Hmm.
herself. I'm like, I don't know how that's gonna go. I mean, is it gonna drive Karako crazy, or is she gonna just go mad with power? I think
I'm
either way could happen.
I'm wondering, like, sort of how she basically has the ability to pilot it now, considering that Ryoko herself is the heart
Hmm.
of Entai. So I do wonder how she's able to get it to move. I guess maybe if she takes one of the fake hearts, and maybe because she's the child of her mother, who's always seems to be like the exception to the
That's
rule.
that's probably what it is. Yeah.
With Yeah, with everything, that maybe that's why. I did like that scene where basically Guy's telling her sort of everything she wants to hear, and I can see, like I said, with the father issues they come back
Hmm.
here because she felt abandoned by her dad.
Hmm.
That her dad just up and left her and took Ozma, and then she's just been here all this time, and she's been by herself. And basically, Guy kind of took advantage of that, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, you're by yourself, and I'll take over that father position and be the support that you need, and tell you that you're special, and tell you that you're the
Hmm.
best, like that."
Right. Yeah. I could. Yeah. I see that now. Yeah. guy taking advantage of that, and her taking advantage of that too, because he's in the right position to give her everything she needs, like a
Mm.
machine, a team, a life of luxury right now. So it's like, yeah, well, I could see that being her just flocking to him because, like, yeah, he's giving her everything she wants, and when her dad kind of just abandoned her, left her. So it's like, yeah, she's obviously gonna anything he said to her would have sweetened the deal no matter what. Even if it was like you gotta give up one of your arms, she still probably would still do it no matter what. Like, yeah, sure, sign me up. As long as she gets to pilot the machine. But yeah, it's been interesting to see how much of a toll it takes on her being a solo pilot. Cause we've seen that with Ririko, obviously. When she did it by herself, it took a big toll on her body. But she can take it because she's immortal. So I was like, Kuriko, I don't know. I don't know if you can take this, but maybe, like you said, maybe being the child of the famous girl, the mom, makes her the exception. That maybe they have a natural talent for this because like you said, just because the mom can do whatever she wants. She can control the machine, so it's like, yeah, why not? I guess daughter can do it too. But yeah, I'm a little worried for her. I know. Like, I don't want her to end up like
Yeah,
Rogue Ryoko, where she can't, she gets all this damage done to her mentally and whatever physically.
yeah. I'm concerned if she'll be okay. Um, and let's see. Oh, on the side note, like I wrote at the bottom here. Like, oh, the guy basically. I'm wondering what his like whole plan is.
Mhm.
Is he just trying to like they do mention an asteroid or like a
Yeah,
meteor
meteor is a
at one
yeah.
point? So I'm like, I'm not sure. Is he trying to destroy the planet? Is he trying to like what is he trying to do? They mentioned that this asteroid or comet seems to stay in one place because even after years, it's been in the same spot in the sky.
Right.
Um, like I think Karuko mentioned, oh, as kids we saw it on the island too, and I'm like, well, how long has that thing been in one spot?
Right. Yeah.
But
I think the guy thinks
so
you think it's another Buranki nest full of machines or something else. I think it's after something else. Maybe it's like a power source or something he wants from that. It's like he seems like the guy who would want to kind of rule the world. That's what they're kind of setting
mhm.
up as, especially given the fact that he can mentally, wipe someone out and make them a slave. So I was like, yeah, I can see him doing it maybe on a larger scale, like a city of people that they're all brain dead and worshipped him or whatever, controlled by
I'm
him.
not so sure he wants to take over the world. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
the thing is, because he could easily do it already.
right, yeah, he could,
Like,
yeah.
he's already got all of the, Buranki pilots in his pocket.
And he's got
Most of them
the
obey
resources.
him.
He's got the resources too, and the
Yeah,
money and all that. So it's like he could easily, hijack a satellite and broadcast that signal, and bam, they're done. Now they're all his. It worked for him now. But yeah,
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 like they're all already he's extremely rich. He,
uh,
can support everybody. So, what's going on? I don't know. That's an interesting thing to find out.
or maybe he wants to be like Ryoko, where he can be immortal or something. It's gonna be some kind of silly thing like that. Some like typical Saturday morning cartoon villain type plot. Wait, I want to be immortal or a god or something like that. I don't know. It's gonna be something like that. There's something like that in that comment, like you said, that he wants. There's something there he needs. So it's like he obviously wants to either destroy it or take whatever's on it for himself.
Mm.
Maybe maybe his thing's greed. He's just so greedy. He wants it all. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's pretty much the episode. I mean, it kind of ends with Karako kind of taking her machine and making comments that it's red, therefore making it better. you know, I guess the cliche thing. Red is faster. Obviously, if you paint your car red. But yeah, so yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with that story. If, obviously Karako is probably gonna be fighting her brother again next week to prove that she's good. And he's gonna probably whoop her, and he'd be like, "Well, now you're not so good as you think you are." So I don't know. I want to see them kind of get along, but I know it's gonna be a while until that happens.
Hmm.
Maybe Oswald's
That'd
gonna
be.
knock some sense in there or something,
We'll have to see.
or the reveal about her dad being dead maybe might trigger something. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see them basically kind of fighting for like each other for maybe about half the season,
Mhm.
and then eventually her fight like somehow coming together with Azuma and them working together somehow.
Right. Yep. And I'm interested in the side plot of saving Ryoko. You know what she's like, what she's been going through. If she's there or not in her mental state, will she remember anybody or not? So, or if she's gonna become a Buranki pilot again. We'll see how that goes. Anything else to say about these episodes? I mean, so far I think the series is going pretty good. I like what they're doing with the story and the characters so far.
Hmm. I agree.
Yep. So I guess next time we'll do one episode of each of these series, and talk to you guys next time for more mechaNorn.
All right, guys.